Hi everyone, my name is Oroma Reynolds, and I am the founder and owner of a special needs law firm based out of New York called MSR Legal and Consulting Services. I've been in this field practicing since 2008 and even before then as an intern. And I have experience in special education law primarily on all sides. So I started out my career representing families and children with disabilities in the Bronx. I've worked for the New York City Department of Education, settling claims for primarily tuition reimbursement and related services reimbursement. And I've also worked for suburban school districts, and finally, before opening up my own practice, I worked for a special needs network of schools that focus primarily on children with autism spectrum disorder. So I do have a lot of perspectives that I bring to this practice. And on Friday evenings, I am committed to doing a bit of community education through my blogs and these really brief episodes on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, MSR Legal Oroma, just highlighting any interesting development coming out of New York State or the federal government regarding educational policy matters that would impact parents of children with special needs. So what you see on your screen now is my website. That's www.msrlegal.org, not .com. And if you toggle over to this link, you'll see a link to my blog. A link to my blog, which is called Special Needs Parenting and the Coronavirus Pandemic. So my latest blog post, which I posted today, has to do with chronic absenteeism and remote learning. So if you're a parent of a child with special needs, or maybe a parent with working obligations, employment obligations outside of the home, you may actually fall into this category, or perhaps a child who's just very young and just wasn't able to fully access special education or education remotely. So what do I mean by access? There are primarily, I'm using that term, accessing remote learning, to mean either the internet connectivity, technology, or the child's ability to really benefit from the instruction, to really understand what's being taught through the modality of remote learning versus in-person learning. So it's actually, I use that term, accessing remote learning, in a twofold manner. Whether the parent has the technology set up and the internet connectivity, the device and the internet connectivity, and then whether the child, him or herself, is actually able to sit and retain the information and meet the learning goals as specified in the child's education plan and IEP. So that is kind of what this blog post today focuses on, chronic absenteeism. In my practice, I've seen attendance records of children during the pandemic and during the 2021 school year. And it's shocking, just at first glance, the number of days a child is marked absent. And the reason is that the family just could not access remote learning, or the child just was not able to really benefit from it, and children were being marked absent. So and there's obviously a lot that a lot of negative things that can come out of being marked chronically absent, namely involvement in the child welfare system, educational neglect claims, and things of that sort. So this blog post is really for families who may fall into that category, and and need some advocacy services or perhaps some legal representation. So definitely check this out. New York State has acknowledged that there are discrepancies, distorted data from across New York State depending on children's access to remote learning, whether they have a device or internet connectivity. So, when the state education department is acknowledging that there is an issue, that's something that we, as advocates and attorneys in this area, we pay attention to, because this means that it shouldn't be shocking for families to actually try and get some sort of compensatory education or additional services to make up for the fact that their child really did not benefit from the remote learning. And again, I want to stress that it may not be anyone's fault that, of course, the pandemic started and that there had to be a shift to remote learning, but it's just important to know that it's not really about blaming someone else or an entity. It's really about looking at the child on an individual basis and seeing what does that child need now, what were they deprived of and what do they need now to make up for that. So, definitely check out this blog post. It includes a link to the memo from the New York State Education Department. And then if you toggle over to your upper right-hand side, you'll see this link to my contact form. And that's where you would book a consultation. So I'm now doing initial consultations via email, and this is the contact form. And so you can use that form to reach me and tell me a little bit about your child's needs, and we can see how I can possibly assist. So that's it for tonight's episode of MSR Legal Oroma. Please check back here and check out my blog. Every Friday, I do hope to be able to post new material that's relevant in this field, especially as we come out of the coronavirus pandemic and looking at what special education, the landscape of it, given everything we've learned about how education can be delivered differently, and how do we really incorporate technology, knowing that that is the future of education alongside in-person learning. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.